Did you know that swear words are expletives and activate a slightly more primitive part of the brain than normal language? In fact, it's largely found to relate to the limbic system, which involves emotion. This is probably why swear words are so hard to define, and why they can be used in a large variety of ways. In a way, they aren't real words, they are a verbal expression of emotion. They are a conceptual expression, involving emotion rather than a specific definition. This is also why swear words and expletives can enhance or weaken one's writing style. Swear words are very negatively viewed expletives, so I'm going to need to explain some bits and pieces before bringing them together in a more family-friendly manner, of course. Let's start with expletives and culture. Expletives say a lot about someone, such as where they came from, their class, their culture, their values, and the current levels of their emotions. Intensity is something that expletives convey very well. Saying something loudly and swearing loudly feel very different. Even swearing under one's breath can add a level of meaning that is hard to convey with normal words. Let's look at some classic MLP expletives, pony feathers and buck. First, I should clarify that pony feathers is used in the show as an expletive along with several other words, but they are never shown to be swears in official material, only fan material. Buck is not used as an expletive in the show, but was initially used quite extensively in fan content. Buck is odd because it's just changing one letter from an actual swear word, but it's also a word that's used in normal speech. Perhaps this is why it's lost a bit of popularity compared to early MLP fan fiction. It's really not that different than the existing word, and therefore does not speak to MLP culture in particular. Pony feathers, on the other hoof, is unique and seems to have grown a bit in popularity, as people have come to realize what they can do with it. Pony feathers' meaning has been growing with use, whereas buck is more limited to its real-world counterpart, and thus pony feathers means more to those who use it. It's effectively becoming a part of a cultural dialect. And if you use this word within the brownie culture, it shows that you've been around the block and probably read more fan fiction, which is where I see it used most often. It stands out as something unique to you and speaks to the culture you claim to be a part of. It also implies a deeper meaning because it helps convey that emotion better rather than any specific definition. As for creating expletives for your own world, I think it is a fun and engaging thing to do. I remember when A Clockwork Orange was all the rage in junior high, and I remember the colorful and unique language that seemed to entrance many a student's fascinations. Adding your own expletives is a way to add something unique to your writing. When deciding what expletives to use for a character or a culture, keep in mind that you should have a good variety. I suggest having at least 1 or 2 expletives, preferably a minor and an intense one for the quote, 6 universal emotions. Many of these expletives can be used with multiple emotions, though often the intonation changes, so there's no need to have 12 unique expletives for each character, and in fact, some of the most popular modern-day characters will only ever use 1. The 6 universal emotions described by anthropologist Paul Ekman and his college in 1972 are surprise, fear, happiness, sadness, anger, and disgust. They are considered universal because the basic facial expressions for each are recognizable between all human cultures, and they are universally expressed by the children and the blind who have never even seen them. Many other emotions are often described in terms of these 6 basic emotions as well. Now, each emotion can pull from a large pool of words, which I will get into later, but swear words are a common factor, and many swears can be used to express different emotions. I like to categorize swearing along the lines of Steven Pinker's work. He described the 5 types of swearing: abusive, emphatic, dysphonism, idiomatic swearing, and cathartic swearing. Abusive swearing is used to insult, objectify, or humiliate others. Many abusive words come from things that we fear, that we don't understand, or that we find dirty, such as baby making, death, bodily fluids, and illness, just to name a few. Abusive words can also be derived from class or racial differences, such as calling someone a piece of ass or a fat effer. Emphatic swearing is generally used when one wants to express that their feelings are stronger than the social pressures exerted on them. When breaking a taboo is a statement in and of itself. Dysphomic swearing is where a euphemism can be used to express an unpleasant concept in a socially acceptable way. Dysphomism is an extreme representation of the mundane, where a socially unacceptable term adds intensity. Dysphomism is also usually derived from a difference in social class. A very simple example is the S word. The S word has Germanic roots, whereas defecation has Latin roots. At one point, those in a higher social class in Britain used defecation. Using the lesser class's word was socially unacceptable and was used to add a negative connotation. This really has not changed at all in the past few hundred years, and a lot of people from lower social classes will use the S word, where those in higher social classes use the other, more socially acceptable words. Idiomatic swearing is used in casual settings. It's not negative in context, but expresses a closeness with others. It's the kind of swearing people use around friends when it's unnecessary. I swear around my friends, and they don't care that what I say is taboo, because we are friends. We accept each other, regardless of normally perceived faults. It shows and enhances bonding. One might argue that the rebellious phase teenagers are famous for is an expression of trying to find a social circle. A circle who will be accepting and where you can relax the propensity for socially derived niceties. People who you can relate to. People who use words like you do, where parents often insist on speaking properly, even though they don't always speak properly themselves. This can be used in writing to show distance between a parental figure and their offspring. Even if a parent lets you swear, swearing at your parent or using abusive swearing is not usually allowed, whereas friends might turn it into idiomatic swearing. Cathartic swearing is my personal favorite. Cathartic swearing gives us lalosisha. I apologize, English language. I cannot pronounce some words correctly. Partially your fault. Lalosisha, meaning the relief one receives by swearing. It's actually been shown repeatedly that swearing lowers our perception of pain, effectively reducing it instantaneously. Swear words make particularly effective cathartic words, because if somebody hurts themselves, they may only have enough time to utter a single word before falling unconscious, and so a swear word will catch the attention of others and stand out from normal language. It's the type of word used right after a sudden but inevitable betrayal and fallen unconscious to a poison. Or perhaps a soldier being wounded in battle needs to cry out so that his friends will know that he has been wounded. It is the cry of a significant other if something stressing or harmful happens. It summons help from others. It's an immediate action that can actually work toward a solution and bring help. Using these 5 types of swear words and similar expletives can greatly enhance characterization in a story and can even help with world building. For instance, perhaps dwarves and humans in your world get along and the humans make short jokes using idiomatic swearing or buddy-buddy swearing. By contrast, elves may use abusive swearing towards dwarves in the majority of situations. Thus, using the setup properly can create tension in a scene with the utterance of a single word, once the audience has some context, of course. Many expletives get spread around between all these social contexts, but they also get spread around between the different emotional states. Surprise! Fear. Happiness. Sadness. Anger! And disgust. There are some neat tricks to use when combining different swear words with different emotions. Some good surprise expletives include ha, ga, what, ee, or even a generic shriek. I find cathartic swearing is the most common and appropriate for surprise-based swearing, but emphatic swearing can also work, especially when the proverbial S is going down. In the case of surprise swear words that are also idiomatic, they tend to work best when the character is coming from a comfortable setting, such as being around friends or in their own home. Have you ever surprised someone only to hear them swear out loud before laughing? I bet you have. People also use idiomatic swearing when bad things are going down, and hearing something similar back is comforting. It can also hint that maybe someone really isn't on the side that they say they are. Thus it implies that someone may be a traitor. Think of a cop trying to infiltrate a gang when they get jumped by a rival gang. He will swear with them because if he doesn't, it's suspicious. Also scary and a fair response. Cathartic swearing can also be fantastic when combined with the emotion of surprise, mostly if some form of pain or potential for pain is involved. In fact, this is a good place to point out that cathartic swearing can be used preemptively, such as when a car goes over an embankment and the passenger utters a swear even if it would be absurd that he or she should die. In many examples, such as the one I just gave, cathartic swearing can be combined with fear as well as surprise. Fear! Some fear expletives include no, ah, gah, screams in general, and muffled or unmuffled cries. These are all decent options. Again, swear words are good. Religious or belief-driven words are common, even something like, no, you can't be real, you can't be real. Repetition is a good way to express fear, especially with expletives and fear-induced panic attacks. Another good example of expletives for fear that is more situational is some word or comment relating to what is going on. This is most commonly used with individuals who are very focused or fanatical. Think a comic book villain who has dedicated themselves to defeating their hero only to have his doomsday weapon turned on him and just before his death calls out to curse the name of his nemesis. This is actually a perfect example of expletives being both personal and emotional driven, something which is also very important in some situations. Thus, abusive swearing is a good option in these rare occasions, whereas I find idiomatic swearing to be a particular poor choice, because indicating that you're friends with someone is a poor choice when you're talking about fear. Happiness! For happiness, some good examples are yay, yeah, woohoo, yeah, and alright. I promise that those sound better when with a group, but that's kind of the problem with happiness expletives. Think of the cool character, the one who simply smiles or takes a kiss from the girl or walks away from the explosion without looking. A lot of times, it's a side character or the comedy relief that expresses happiness at the climax and not these cool characters. Oftentimes, the main character is too tired to care or continue, so you have to use a side character to express this. Sometimes if it's a cheeky character, they will lay out some witty comment as well. So what other types of communication can people express? Well, one good one is laughing. It's not really a word or a phrase, but like swearing, it conveys emotion more than anything else and doesn't really have a definition. It's a sound that people make that can be made unintentionally and in the heat of the moment. It's also universally recognized. Snorting while laughing is an acceptable example as well. Emphatic swearing is a good option because it emphasizes that the character is so happy that no negative social impact would dampen their spirits. Along the same lines, idiomatic swearing is a good choice if a character is sharing an experience with others. You also see emphatic swearing a lot at parties, especially if people are imbibing. Idiomatic swearing is also used to express happiness when someone or a character is presenting a joke, such as in a stand-up comedy routine. They are expressing that they are sharing with you. They are your buddy. This is especially funny when used as abusive swearing directed at others. Think of Lewis Black. He's using abusive swearing towards another, but with you he is using idiomatic swearing because you are the buddy chum of this a-hole. Sadness. Pretty much all swear words work for sadness. Wordless expressions such as cries and sniffling and names of people related to the sadness also work quite nicely. Just don't add too much energy unless they are also angry or, in rare cases, fearful. Anger! Hell, heck! Pretty much any swear word or any word with tacked on in the end. Hater, effer, spooner. When people and ponies are angry, they tend to yell whatever forms most easily on their lips. Just try to keep it relevant and consistent unless you are showing just how unstable they are. Things that relate to broad categories such as race, professions, actions, and body parts are also quite common. Whew. Disgust or repulsion. Our old friend the swear word is back. It is a very standard choice, as are less wordy expletives, such as ow, ugh, gah, and any noises indicating it's hard to breathe. These swears and expletives are, in my experience, short. And quite frankly, in your writing, you do not want to linger on them either unless you're specifically trying to disgust your reader or for videos your viewer. Well, that's it for this episode. Hopefully explaining expletives in combination with emotion helps some of you define your characters and your worlds a little bit better. I'm PycoPie. Leave your comments and questions below. I might do a follow-up based on your comments. And leave a like or subscribe if you like it. It helps the channel grow. You can find some of my work, both good and bad, in the link below, and as well as different ways to contact me or hang out, like Twitter, Facebook. If I ever do stuff on that. Tumblr, yeah. I'll make sure I have Tumblr in there as well because Tumblr's pretty cool.